one of the things that makes part of what we do so pretty awesome is the fact that there's constant sporadic instances that occur that we can never really expect. And what I mean by that is this. So, as per usual, I have a handful of episodes ready to go, right? But then the Utah Monolith thing comes up. And then leaked footage of alleged Nephilims or giants or whatever you want to call it gets leaked from Russia as well. So then what happens? I'm here doing this. So first off, I just want to give a quick shout out to Eddie Hernandez. He asked to be shouted out about a week or so ago. So yeah, shout out to you, brother. Thank you for watching as always. And let's jump right into it. So everyone at this point in time who even vaguely follows UFOs, paranormal instances, and things like this know that there was a monolith. And for those on YouTube right now, I'm putting the picture up. There was a monolith found in Utah by a helicopter crew, and it's been there for many, many years, actually. I mean, if you go back to the year 2016, you actually would have been able to pull up and find this monolith on Google Earth. But now if you look it up, it's been blurred out. Now, as of the day I'm recording this, which is probably going to be the same day that I'll be releasing this episode, this monolith, okay, has been removed. We don't know by who. We don't know when. All we know is that in the last 24 hours or so, it's been completely removed. Now, I have a few different theories on that, but the thing about this is that I want to break this down in a way that makes it understandable for you guys. So first, let's understand something. There's no such thing as coincidences generally. I mean, there are, don't get me wrong, but usually speaking, when it smells like a conspiracy and it looks like a conspiracy and the timing of things is a little bit peculiar, it's probably because those timelines add up and they connect with one another. Now, there has been an overarching concept within society that we feel that the routines that we go about in our day-to-day lives are so instilled within our minds that we have been told subliminally over many, many years that anything that we do with regards to thinking outside of the box is viewed as preposterous. And that is because this is the core foundation in which was set up that these institutions and certain factions of the government and the military want us to think. This is the way they want us to think. It's very simple. So November 20th, okay, and I'm going to refer specifically to newsintact.com. A video leaks of what appears to be, give or take, 10 feet high humanoids. Now, obviously, I wouldn't honestly bet that they were part of some type of experimentation. More than likely, I would say extraterrestrials. Now, no one as of yet has been able to debunk this video. I'm going to be putting still images up of it. I will put the link in the description if you're on YouTube, if you want to check it out yourself. And it's interesting because it's two women, well, it seems to be like two female humanoids, about 10 feet tall, and if you look closely, they're actually floating above the ground, so to speak, maybe about a foot, maybe even a little bit less, floating off the ground. Now, that's interesting. I don't know what to make of that specifically, but here's the thing. Around the same time that these Nephilims, humanoids, giants, whatever you want to call it, the same time this video leaked, just a handful of days later, the Utah Monolith comes out of nowhere. Now, I'm not trying to make a connection where there is none, but again, we have to observe and we have to consider all the possibilities. And like I said earlier, publicly doing this, I'll probably get laughed at. But don't kid yourself. Those within the CIA, those within the Pentagon, they're doing what you and I are doing right now. They're investigating this on a far more deeper level. Now, according to newsintact.com, and I quote, "What you will see is the Kremlin's back entrance when the internal security lieutenant asked two strangely dressed women reaching up to 10 feet high. At first, he thought they were wearing some kind of leg extensions, but as you can see, there is not any kind of extension. Then, the FSB colonel approached him and said they have full clearance to enter the Kremlin and no further security checks were required. According to the lieutenant, the woman seemed to be floating in the air, reaching about 10 feet in height, and at one point reaching about 10 feet above the surface of the soil, something that is impossible for a human being." So we're talking about vastly tall humans or humanoids, and we're talking about floating humanoids, okay? With that being said, this is where it gets really interesting, so just bear with me here. Now, of course, the lieutenant thought they were not from this earth. Probably they were some kind of Nordic alien. One thing is sure, he will remember those beings for the rest of his life, end quote. Here's the thing. The lieutenant, and I'm not going to give his name out, but trust me when I tell you, the lieutenant has been silenced. No one's heard from him in days, since November 20th, believe it or not. Fine, maybe something didn't happen to him, maybe something did. I don't want to extrapolate into things that I can't support substantially. With that being said, allegedly there was a transcript that leaked that had these two beings discussing a particular monolith that was a sort of guide for them when they came to visit this planet. Now, that's when we cross over into this monolith. Now, they call it I guess if we were to translate it into English, a sort of pyramid, a pyramid structure rather. And this gets into another thing as well, which I plan to cover. But these structures, believe it or not, act as a form of navigation for when multiple different beings come to this planet, whether that is to visit, whether that is to come and stay for a little while, or whether that is for experimental purposes or whatever the case is. With that being said, that is why, one of the many reasons why there were so many pyramids built around the world during the ancient times. Now, again, I'm not going to get into that because the highlight of this is to get to the monolith, right? With that being said, pyramids were built by civilizations in the past that utilize certain frequencies that we yet, at least on a public level, have not been able to tap into. We probably don't have the technology. Maybe we could do it through some type of meditation. Not sure. However, with all that being said, this monolith was actually acting as one, I guess you could say, as a form of a GPS for these UFOs. Now, you remember when I said in an episode a while ago, very briefly, I mentioned the fact that their advanced technology may be more embedded with that of some type of natural resource from their planet or from their galaxy that we just don't happen to have, but they happen to figure out how to harness magnetic frequencies and propulsion systems and all that far more better than we can. I think that's where the secret really lies. And I think that this monolith, as mysterious as it is, I don't think it plays as big a role as many think. Now, that's my first thought. My second thought is that it's very possible that aside from acting as a sort of guidance or GPS for these UFOs, and again, this is just one of many. Apparently, there's many different beams and different triangular shaped beams, and as well as obviously the massive pyramids too. With that being said, in the last 24 hours, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, the monolith was removed. Now, according to local Utah officers and many other people, the government, the federal government, under a dummy company, allegedly started buying up the land surrounding this in the last handful of hours, believe it or not. Now, with that being said, aside from the fact that it may act as a navigational device or a type of GPS tool for UFOs when they come to this planet, I have a different theory. So, let's jump to, and I'm putting the article up right now for you guys to see. Let's jump on over to globalnews.ca. So according to Global News, there was a gentleman by the name of David Serber, and his account on Instagram is _, and he went to go visit the monolith himself before it got taken down mysteriously. He said in his Instagram post, and I'm putting the screenshot up right now, that it seems to be aluminum, it is not magnetic, it is 3 pieces that seem to be artificially riveted together, and there are 2 rivets missing up top. He also gave the location. He said if you drive Lockhart Road, go from the south, and a sedan won't cut it, cross over SUV or higher. That's just him saying if you're going to go there with some type of truck or Jeep or whatever, right? Don't go there with a smaller, more mobile car. With that being said, I now want to jump to KSL.com. I mean, you can look at thedailybeast.com or CNN, whatever. And the monolith mysteriously vanishes. And these articles were written about 10, 11 hours ago from the time I'm recording this. So the monolith disappeared. With that being said, there were people that still went to check out the monolith today, last night, yesterday afternoon. Wasn't there. Now, what do you do when it's not there? Let's check and see what's on the floor underneath it. So this gentleman by the name of the Spence Rowan, I believe that's how you say it. I apologize if I butchered the name, posted a video on Instagram of him investigating what was underneath this structure. Now, the only thing remaining is a small pyramid on top made of the same material that seemed to be composed of that beam that was just there, that monolith. He lifts it up. It's very light material, feels aluminum. But after he lifted it up, there's a certain part where you can actually see, no word of a lie, you can see that it is part of some massive big structure underneath. Now, I don't want to conclude that it is some type of ship or some type of whatever. All I'm saying is that the answer may be simpler than we think. And here's what I honestly think. This is a perfect site for an underground military base. This could in fact be one of many beams that are helping to support this underground base and keep it structurally sound. Now, maybe this beam got shot through the surface by accident. Maybe it didn't. I honestly, I don't know. Could it be part of some ship? I mean, I guess. Could it be part of some base? I'd like to say a base more than a ship. But to tell you the truth, I think that a base is far more probable, particularly when the base is far more deeper underground. And this could be a beam that is holding up one of the rail systems of their Mach 2 magneto-leviton trains. This could be a beam, again, that's holding up one of the core foundational aspects of the actual base itself underneath. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. But the fact that the government started using dummy companies to buy up land all around it and then refuses to comment on it says something. It tells you something. It really should. Because it's very frightening to see that these kinds of things happen with no government explanation. Who removed it? I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys could guess who. But at this point, the worms are out of the jar, the cat's out of the bag. Pretty simple. It's part of some bigger structure. Now, what type of structure? I honestly don't know. I wish I did, because I'd probably be I'd be so thrilled to share with you guys. But again, all the links are in the description, and you can check them out for yourself and see what it is. Now, maybe at the same time, this is something we're over-exaggerating. It's very possible that this is something that may not even be anything big at all. But again, the fact that the beam was removed and there seems to be an overarching connected structure or monolith under the surface of the ground there in Utah, that seems even more significant than what the beam was. That should say something. Okay? Could this have been material that was reverse engineered from UFO technology, material they realized seems apparent and aluminum and steel-like or aluminum-like on the front end, but in reality it is some type of much stronger material, which is why it could be used to hold up some foundation of a ship or an underground military base. It could be a number of things. What I find very interesting is that these particular sightings, these monoliths, have been seen all over the world, particularly in Antarctica. So something is missing here that we don't understand yet. And the thing about this is that it's like there's 100 pieces to a puzzle. We have right now maybe 10 or 15 pieces out of the 100 pieces. We have the border of the puzzle, but we don't have the middle. So we have the border, and we can extrapolate and we can determine as much as we like, but ultimately we won't know. So I'm not going to take up too much more of your guys' times. I didn't honestly plan to even release this today. I didn't even plan to record this. But again, things come up, and that's what makes this so fun. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.